The Imperial flagship hung in space like a massive jewel. Its silver hull reflected the light from the distant sun. Inside the ship, Queen Velsara paced back and forth in her throne room. Her crimson scales caught the light with each movement. Her 4 amber eyes showed worry. Though she tried to hide it, she was the ruler of the Zetharian Empire. For 300 years, she had led her people through wars and peace. Other species across the galaxy feared her name. But today something else occupied her mind. Her daughters were meeting with humans, and she did not trust them. The humans had arrived 3 days ago. They came to discuss the border territories. Both species wanted the same planets. Both sides claimed they were there first. The talks were not going well. Velsara suspected the humans of lying. The humans thought the Zetharians were too aggressive. Neither side wanted war, but neither side wanted to give up the planets either. Commander Jake Murphy stood in the diplomatic quarters. He was tired. The negotiations had lasted for hours each day. He was only 28 years old, but this assignment made him feel much older. He had been a military medic before. He knew how to treat wounds and save lives. Now he was supposed to prevent a war with words instead of bandages. Jake looked out the window at the stars. He thought about home. Earth was far away. He missed the simple things like rain and the smell of coffee. Here, everything was strange. The Zetharian ship was beautiful but cold. The aliens were tall and covered in scales. They rarely smiled. They spoke in voices that sounded like rocks grinding together. An alarm suddenly blared through the ship. Jake jumped. Red lights flashed in the hallways. He heard shouting in the Zetharian language. He ran toward the door. Before he could reach it, it slid open. A Zetharian guard stood there, his weapon drawn. "You will come with me, human," the guard said. His voice was angry. Jake raised his hands. "What's happening?" "The princesses are missing." "You will answer to the queen." Jake's stomach dropped. The princesses. He had seen them only once during the first day of talks. Princess Kira was the older one. She had purple scales and looked strong. Princess Lisa was younger with silver-blue scales. She had seemed curious about the humans. Both had sat quietly behind their mother during the meetings. Now they were gone. The guard marched Jake through the corridors. Other Zetharian soldiers ran past them. Some were checking rooms. Others were shouting orders. The whole ship was in chaos. Jake's mind raced. He had nothing to do with this. But would they believe him? They reached the throne room. The doors opened with a hiss. Queen Velsara stood in the center. She was even more frightening than usual. Her scales seemed darker. Her eyes blazed with fury. Around her stood human and Zetharian officers. Captain Lauren Hayes, the commander of the human ship, was there too. She looked worried. "Commander Murphy?" The Queen's voice filled the room like thunder. "Where are my daughters?" Jake swallowed hard. "Your Majesty, I don't know. I was in my quarters when the alarm sounded." "Humans are lying creatures," Velsara hissed. "You came here to steal from us. First our planets, now my children." Captain Hayes stepped forward. "Queen Velsara, I assure you we had nothing to do with this. Our people would never harm children." "Then where are they?" The Queen moved closer. She towered over both humans. They were in their secured quarters. The doors were locked. "Only your technology could break through our systems." "That's not true," Jake said. He knew he should stay quiet, but he couldn't help himself. "Your security systems are more advanced than ours. We couldn't hack them if we tried." A Zetharian officer approached the Queen. He held a data pad. "Your Majesty, we have reviewed the security footage." The princesses left their quarters through a maintenance shaft. They were alone. No one forced them. Velsara grabbed the data pad. Her eyes scanned the information. For a moment, her expression changed. Jake saw something there. Not anger, but pain. She was scared. She was a mother worried about her children. "They left willingly?" Velsara's voice was quieter now. "Where did they go?" The officer hesitated. "We lost their trail in the lower decks, but before they disappeared, they accessed the human database." All eyes turned to the humans. Captain Hayes frowned. "What were they looking at?" "Files about Earth," the officer said. "Information about your nature preserves, your family structures, your concepts of freedom and choice." Jake's mind worked quickly. Why would 2 alien princesses be interested in those things? What were they looking for? Then he remembered something. During the first meeting, he had noticed Lisa staring at a photo on his data pad. It was a picture from his foster home. his foster parents and their 3 kids all smiling together. The young princess had looked at it with such longing. "Your Majesty," Jake said carefully. "May I speak freely?" Velsara's eyes fixed on him. "Speak, human, but choose your words with care. If they left on their own, they had a reason. They weren't kidnapped. They ran away. Something made them want to leave." The queen's scales rippled with anger. "Nothing makes a princess of the Zetharian Empire run away. We are honored. We are powerful. We want for nothing." "Maybe they wanted something you couldn't give them," Jake said softly. The room went silent. Several Zetharian officers reached for their weapons. Captain Hayes grabbed Jake's arm, trying to pull him back. But Velsara raised one clawed hand. Everyone froze. "You dare suggest I failed my daughters?" Her voice was deadly quiet. Jake knew he was taking a huge risk, but something told him this was important. "I'm suggesting that maybe they needed something different. Something they saw in our files about human families." Velsara stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned to her officers. "Find them. Search every section of this ship. Search the human vessel. Search the planet below. I want my daughters found within 72 hours. She looked back at Jake. "And you, Commander Murphy. You will lead the search team. You seem to think you understand my daughters. Prove it, find them. If you fail, if any harm comes to them, I will consider it an act of war." "Do you understand?" Jake nodded. His mouth was dry. "I understand. You have 72 hours, human. After that, your entire species will pay for their disappearance." The queen turned and walked away. Her tail swept behind her, knocking over a chair. The doors closed behind her with a crash. Jake stood there, his heart pounding. Captain Hayes looked at him with wide eyes. "What did you just get us into?" she whispered. Jake shook his head. "I don't know. But we have to find those girls. The whole galaxy depends on it." He looked at the time display on the wall. 72 hours. 3 days to find 2 missing princesses on a ship that was larger than a small city. 3 days to prevent a war. 3 days to figure out why 2 alien girls would risk everything to run away from the most powerful mother in the galaxy. The clock was already ticking. Jake stood in the briefing room with his search team. Captain Hayes had assigned Lieutenant Ben Carson to help him. Ben was his best friend and a good security officer. But Ben did not like aliens. He made no secret of it. "We're risking our necks for a couple of lizard princesses," Ben muttered. "This is insane." "Keep your voice down," Jake said. He looked around the room. 3 Zetharian soldiers stood on the other side. They were part of the search team, too. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. "We need to work together on this." A woman entered the room. She was human, with dark hair pulled back in a bun. She carried several data pads. "Commander Murphy? I'm Dr. Sophie Martinez. Captain Hayes sent me to help. I'm a xenobiologist. I've studied Zetharian culture for 5 years." Jake felt relieved. "Thank God. We need someone who understands how they think." Sophie set down her data pads. "I've been reviewing the security footage and the files the princesses accessed. I think I know why they ran." Everyone gathered around her. Even the Zetharian soldiers moved closer, though they kept their distance from the humans. "What did you find?" Jake asked. The princesses looked at files about human family structures, specifically information about choice in marriage and career. They also accessed historical data about Earth's monarchy systems and how they changed over time. Sophie pulled up images on the main screen. "In Zetharian culture, royal children have no choice in their futures. Everything is decided for them." One of the Zetharian soldiers spoke up. His name was Officer Vex. "This is our way. It has been for thousands of years. Royal blood must serve the Empire. But what if they don't want to?" Jake asked. Vex's scales rippled with annoyance. "Want? They are princesses. Their wants do not matter. Only their duty matters." Sophie nodded. "That's exactly the problem. I did some digging. Queen Velsara recently announced engagement contracts for both daughters. Princess Kira is to marry a war chief from the Northern Territories. Princess Lissa is promised to a science clan leader. Both marriages are political alliances." Jake felt his chest tighten. "How old are they? In human years?" "Kira would be about 16. Lissa is 12. Ben whistled low. "They're just kids." "To the Zetharians, they are of age for such arrangements," Sophie explained. "But I think the princesses disagree. They've been exposed to human media and culture during these diplomatic talks. They've seen that we do things differently." Jake looked at the security footage again. He watched the two princesses crawl through the maintenance shaft. They moved carefully, helping each other. They had packed small bags. This was planned. They knew what they were doing. Where would they go? He asked. The ship has been searched. They're not here anymore. Sophie pulled up a map. Before they disappeared, they requested access codes for the shuttle bay. They claimed they needed them for a school project. The request was approved. They took a shuttle. Ben leaned forward. Where would they go? We're in the middle of space. Not exactly, Sophie said. She zoomed out on the map. We're orbiting a border world. It used to be a human colony about 40 years ago. It was evacuated when the Zytharians claimed this sector. But the buildings are still there. Life support still works in some sections. Jake felt something click in his mind. They went to the surface. They wanted to see a human colony, a place where humans lived and made their own choices. Vex stepped forward. This is foolish speculation. We should continue searching the ship. Your people have been searching for hours, Jake said. They haven't found anything. Let me check the colony. What do you have to lose? The Zytharian soldiers looked at each other. Finally, Vex nodded. We will come with you. If you try to escape with the princesses, we will kill you. Fair enough, Jake said, though his stomach turned at the thought. 2 hours later, Jake sat in a shuttle heading toward the planet's surface. Ben piloted the craft. Sophie sat behind them, reviewing data. The 3 Zytharian soldiers sat in the back, their weapons ready. The atmosphere was tense. The planet below was mostly green and blue. It looked peaceful from space. As they descended through the clouds, Jake could see the old colony. Buildings stood empty. Streets were overgrown with plants. Nature was slowly taking back what humans had built. I'm picking up a faint heat signature, Ben said. Southwest section, near what looks like a greenhouse complex. Set us down nearby, Jake ordered, but not too close. We don't want to scare them. The shuttle landed in an open area that used to be a park. They climbed out. The air was fresh and clean. Wind rustled through the abandoned buildings. It felt strange to stand in a place humans had once called home. Jake led the group toward the greenhouse. His heart pounded. What if he was wrong? What if the princesses weren't here? He only had 3 days. Already, several hours had passed. They moved quietly between buildings. Sophie pointed to tracks in the dirt. Small footprints. Jake felt hope rise in his chest. They were close. The greenhouse came into view. It was a large dome made of transparent material. Inside, Jake could see plants growing wild. Someone had been here recently. The door was slightly open. Wait here, Jake said to the others. Let me go in alone. Absolutely not, Vex said. We stay together. If you all storm in there, you'll terrify them, Jake argued. They ran away from the Queen. Do you think they want to see armed soldiers? Vex considered this. You have 5 minutes. Then we come in, Jake nodded. He approached the greenhouse slowly. He opened the door carefully. Inside, the air was warm and humid. Plants grew everywhere. Flowers bloomed in wild colors. In the center, someone had cleared a small space. There were blankets on the ground, food containers, a small light, and there, hiding behind a large fern, were 2 pairs of eyes. One set was purple. One set was silver blue. Princess Kira? Princess Lissa? Jake kept his voice soft. My name is Jake Murphy. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to talk. There was silence. Then slowly, the 2 princesses emerged from their hiding spot. They looked scared but also defiant. Kira stood in front of her younger sister, protective. You found us, Kira said. Her voice was shaky. Are you taking us back? Jake slowly sat down on the ground. He made himself less threatening. I'm not taking you anywhere you don't want to go. Not yet, but your mother is very worried and very angry. She's always angry, Lisa said softly. Her silver blue scales seemed to glow in the greenhouse light. Maybe, Jake said, but right now she's also scared. You disappeared. She doesn't know if you're safe. Kira's scales rippled. We won't go back. We won't marry those men. We don't love them. We don't even know them, Jake nodded. I understand. You want to choose your own path. Like humans do, you understand? Lisa stepped forward, looking at him with wide eyes. Really? I do, Jake said. He pulled out his data pad. He showed them the photo of his foster family. You looked at this picture during the first meeting. Do you remember? Lisa nodded eagerly. They looked so happy, all together smiling. They're my family, Jake explained, but not by blood. I was an orphan. They chose to take me in, and when I grew up, they let me choose my own future. Nobody forced me to become a soldier or a diplomat. I decided. Kira sat down across from him. Cytharians don't work that way. We are born into our roles. We must serve the Empire. Our feelings don't matter. Maybe they should, Jake said gently. If we go back, Mother will make us marry, Lisa said. Tears formed in her eyes. I don't want to marry anyone. I want to paint. I want to create art, but Mother says art is weakness. Jake's heart ached for them. They were just children. They should be learning and playing and discovering who they wanted to be. Not being forced into marriages and roles they didn't choose. Listen, he said, I need to contact your mother. She's given us 3 days to find you. If we don't, she's going to start a war with humanity. Both princesses looked shocked. A war? Kira whispered. Because of us? She loves you, Jake said. She's willing to burn down the galaxy to get you back. But maybe, just maybe, we can convince her to listen, to understand why you ran. Will you help me try? The sisters looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Finally, Kira nodded. We'll talk to her, she said. But we won't go back unless things change. Jake smiled. That's all I ask. Let's see if we can teach a queen that even the fiercest love sometimes needs to let go. Jake tried to contact the flagship, but his communication device wouldn't work. He pressed buttons and adjusted settings. Nothing happened. Ben came into the greenhouse to check. What's wrong? Ben asked. The communicator is dead, Jake said. Must have been damaged during the landing. Vex pushed past them. This is unacceptable. We must report to the Queen immediately. With what? Jake showed him the broken device. We need to repair this first. Sophie checked her own equipment. Mine's not working either. Something in the atmosphere is interfering with signals. A low rumble echoed across the sky. Everyone looked up. Dark clouds were gathering fast. Lightning flashed in the distance. What is that? Lissa asked, pressing close to her sister. Sophie pulled up data on her working scanner. Her face went pale. It's an ion storm. A big one. They're common in this region, but usually we get more warning. How long until it hits? Jake asked. Less than an hour, Sophie said. We need to get back to the shuttle now. They ran outside. But as they reached the landing area, their hearts sank. The shuttle was already covered in a strange purple electrical field. Sparks jumped across its hull. The storm's already affecting the systems, Ben said. We can't take off in this. Vex grabbed his weapon. Then we waited out in the shuttle. No, Sophie said firmly. Ion storms can last for days. The shuttle isn't shielded for long-term exposure. The hull will fail. Then what do we do? Kira asked. Fear showed in her eyes. Jake thought quickly. The colony had underground bunkers, emergency shelters for storms and attacks. If any of them still have power, we can wait there. They ran through the abandoned streets as the storm moved closer. The wind picked up. Purple lightning streaked across the sky. Rain began to fall, but it wasn't normal rain. The drops sparked when they hit the ground. There, Sophie pointed to a building with a faded sign. That's the Colony Administration Center. The main bunker should be underneath. They rushed inside. The building was dark and dusty. Emergency lights flickered weakly. Jake found the stairs leading down. They descended into the bunker level. The air was stale but breathable. Ben found a power panel. He worked on it for several minutes. Finally, lights hummed to life. The bunker was small but functional. There were beds, a small kitchen area, and storage lockers. Everything was old but still working. How long will the storm last? Kira asked. Sophie checked her scanner again. Based on the readings, at least 3 days. Maybe longer, 3 days. Jake felt the weight of that number. They had 3 days to return the princesses. Now they would spend all 3 days trapped in a bunker. The queen would think they ran away with her daughters. She would start a war. We're doomed, Ben said, sitting down hard on a bed. No, Jake said. We just need to wait it out. When the storm clears, we'll contact the flagship. We'll explain everything. Vex paced like a caged animal. The queen will not believe excuses. She will see this as betrayal. Then we better hope she gives us a chance to explain, Jake said. The bunker shook as thunder crashed above them. The storm had arrived. Purple light flashed through the small windows near the ceiling. For now, they were stuck. The first day was difficult. The Cytharian soldiers stayed on one side of the bunker. The humans stayed on the other. The princesses sat between them, looking miserable. Nobody talked much. Everyone was worried. Jake tried to make the best of it. He found old food supplies in the storage lockers. The packages were dated but still sealed. He heated up some soup on the small stove. "Anyone hungry?" he asked. Lisa came over shyly. "What is it?" "Vegetable soup," Jake said. "Human food. Want to try?" She nodded. He poured her a bowl. She tasted it carefully, then smiled. "It's good. Different from our food, but good." Kira came over too. Soon everyone was eating, even the Zytharian soldiers. Food helped break the tension a little. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He heard someone crying softly. He got up and found Kira sitting by the window watching the purple lightning. "Princess?" he said quietly. "Are you okay?" She wiped her eyes quickly. "I had a bad dream. About the marriage. About my future." Jake sat down beside her. He kept a respectful distance. "Want to talk about it?" Kira was quiet for a moment. Then words started pouring out. She told him about the war chief she was supposed to marry. He was older than her mother. He had killed many enemies. He expected her to become a warrior like him, to fight and conquer. "But I don't want to spend my life fighting," she said. "I've trained in combat. I'm good at it. But it doesn't make me happy. I want to learn about other species. I want to understand how we can live together instead of always being at war." "That's not weak," Jake said. "That's actually very brave. It's easy to fight. It's much harder to make peace." Kira looked at him with surprise. "You really think so?" "I know so," Jake said. "I was a medic in the military. I've seen what war does. The people who work to prevent wars are the real heroes." They talked for a long time. Kira asked him about Earth, about human families, about how humans chose their partners. Jake told her about his foster parents, about how they met and fell in love, about how they chose each other every day. "That sounds wonderful," Kira said softly. "To be chosen because someone loves you, not because they need an alliance." The second day was better. Jake found a deck of cards in a storage locker. He taught the princesses how to play. Lissa learned quickly and started winning. Her laughter filled the bunker. Even Vex cracked a small smile. Sophie shared her knowledge about different planets and species. Lisa was fascinated. She asked hundreds of questions. Jake noticed she was drawing in a small notebook. She had brought art supplies in her bag. "What are you drawing?" he asked. Lissa showed him shyly. She had drawn portraits of everyone in the bunker. They were beautiful. She had captured not just their faces but their emotions. Ben looked protective. Sophie looked kind. Vex looked conflicted. "These are amazing," Jake said honestly. "You're really talented." "Mother says art is a waste of time," Lissa said sadly. "She says I should focus on science or politics, things that serve the empire." "Art serves everyone," Jake said. "It helps us understand each other. It shows us beauty. That's important too." Lisa smiled. Then she did something that surprised him. She tore out a page and gave it to him. It was a drawing of him sitting with both sisters. They were playing cards and smiling. At the bottom she had written words in both Zytharian and human languages. "Heart brother. What does that mean?" Jake asked. Kira explained. "In our culture, a heart brother is someone closer than blood family. It's someone who sees your true self and cares for you anyway. It's the deepest bond we have." Jake felt his throat tighten with emotion. "I'm honored." That night, Lisa had a nightmare. She woke up screaming. Everyone jumped up. She was crying, talking rapidly in Zytharian. Kira held her, trying to calm her down. "What's wrong?" Jake asked. "She dreamed about her arranged marriage," Kira said. "The Science Clan leader. He's cold and cruel. He only wants her because she's royal blood. He told Mother he would train the weakness out of her." Jake felt anger burn in his chest. These were children. They should be protected, not sold off like property. He knelt down beside Lissa. "Hey," he said softly. "Look at me." Lisa's silver blue eyes met his. They were full of tears. "I promise you," Jake said, "I will do everything I can to stop that marriage. You deserve better. You deserve to choose your own future." "But Mother won't listen," Lisa sobbed. "She never listens." "Then I'll make her listen," Jake said. "Even if it costs me everything." Kira looked at him with wonder. "Why would you do that?" "We're not your people. This isn't your problem." Jake thought about his answer. "Because every child deserves to be free. Because no one should be forced into a life they don't want. And because I guess you're my heart sisters now. Family protects family." The third day, the storm began to fade. The purple lightning became less frequent. The rain slowed. Jake worked with Ben to repair the communication device using parts from the bunker. Finally, it crackled to life. Static filled the air, then a voice came through. It was Captain Hayes. Commander Murphy? Is that you? Where have you been? Captain, I can explain everything, Jake said. We found the princesses. We've been trapped in a bunker during the ion storm. Is the Queen there? There was a long pause. Then a different voice came through. It was like rocks grinding together. Queen Velsara, Commander Murphy, she said. Her voice was cold. You have 30 minutes to convince me not to declare war. Speak wisely. Jake looked at the two princesses. They looked back at him with trust in their eyes. He took a deep breath. This was it. Time to change everything. Jake stood in front of the communication device. His hands were shaking slightly, but he forced himself to stay calm. Everyone in the bunker watched him. The princesses stood close by, their eyes full of hope and fear. Your Majesty, Jake began. Your daughters are safe. They're unharmed. But before I bring them back, you need to hear what I have to say. You dare make demands? The Queen's voice was filled with rage. You kidnapped my children and now you negotiate? I didn't kidnap anyone, Jake said firmly. Your daughters ran away. They left on their own. And they had a good reason. There was silence on the other end. Jake could almost feel the Queen's fury through the speaker. Explain yourself, human, and be quick about it. Jake took a deep breath. Your daughters don't want to come back because they're afraid. Not of you, but of disappointing you. They know about the arranged marriages. They know what you expect from them, and it's killing them inside. What they want is irrelevant, Velsara said coldly. They are princesses. They have duties. They're children. Jake's voice rose. He couldn't help it. Kira is 16. Lissa is 12. They should be learning and growing and figuring out who they are. Instead, you're forcing them into marriages with men they don't know. Men who don't love them. Love. The Queen laughed, but it was a bitter sound. Love is a luxury royalty cannot afford. They must marry for the good of the empire. Is that what you believe? Jake asked. Or is that what you were taught to believe? Another silence. Longer this time, Jake pressed on. I've spent 3 days with your daughters. I've heard their dreams. Kira wants to be a diplomat. She wants to build bridges between species, not fight wars. Lissa wants to be an artist. She has incredible talent. She sees the world in beautiful ways. But you're crushing those dreams because they don't fit what you think a princess should be. I do what is necessary to protect them, Velsara said. Her voice was still hard, but something in it had shifted slightly. The political landscape is dangerous. Without powerful alliances, my daughters could be killed by rivals. The marriages secure their safety, do they? Jake challenged. Because from what I've heard, the men you've chosen for them are cruel. One of them told you he would train the weakness out of Lissa. Does that sound like protection to you? There was no response. Jake could hear breathing on the other end. Heavy, angry breathing. Your Majesty, Jake said more softly, I know you love your daughters. I've seen how worried you've been. But love isn't about control. It's not about forcing people into boxes they don't fit. Real love means wanting them to be happy, even if that happiness looks different from what you imagined. You know nothing of being a parent, Velsara snapped. You know nothing of the burden of leadership. You're right, Jake admitted. I don't have children, but I was a child who lost his parents. I grew up in foster care. And the people who raised me, they could have forced me to be what they wanted, but they didn't. They let me choose my own path, and that's why I love them. That's why I'd do anything for them. Kira stepped forward. Mother, can I talk to you? Jake handed her the communicator. Kira's hands trembled as she held it. Mother, it's me. Kira. Kira. The Queen's voice cracked. Are you hurt? Did they hurt you? No, Mother. Jake protected us. He's been kind. He listened to us. Kira paused, gathering courage. Mother, I need you to listen too, please. I'm listening, daughter. I can't marry the war chief, Kira said. Tears ran down her face, but her voice was steady. I know you think it will keep me safe. I know you think it's my duty. But I'll be miserable. I don't want to spend my life fighting. I want to learn. I want to help our people find peace with other species. Peace is found through strength, Velsara said, but her voice was softer now. Is it? Kira asked. Then why are we always at war? Why do we always have enemies? Maybe real strength is being brave enough to try something different. Lisa came forward and took the communicator. "Mother, it's Lisa. My little star," the Queen said. Jake heard something break in her voice. "I've been so worried." "I know, Mother. I'm sorry, but I had to run. I can't marry the Science Clan leader. He scares me. He doesn't see me as a person. He sees me as a tool." Lisa's voice shook. "I want to paint, Mother. I want to create beautiful things." "Why is that wrong?" "It's not wrong," Velsera said quietly. "It's just not what I expected." "I know," Lisa said. "But I'm not the daughter you expected. Neither of us are. And we're sorry. But we can't change who we are. We tried, Mother. We really tried. But pretending to be someone else is so exhausting." There was a long silence. Jake could hear the Queen breathing. When she finally spoke, her voice was different, smaller, more human even though she wasn't human at all. "I arranged those marriages because I was afraid," Velsera said. "My own mother died in a political assassination. I've survived 5 attempts on my life. Every day I worry that someone will hurt my daughters to get to me. I thought if they married powerful men they would be protected. But they're not protected," Jake said gently, taking the communicator back. "They're trapped, and they'd rather risk death than live without hope." "What would you have me do?" the Queen asked. She sounded tired. "If I break the marriage contracts, I'll make powerful enemies. The families will feel insulted." "Then make them angrier," Jake said. "Stand up for your daughters. Show the galaxy that a queen's love is fiercer than any political alliance. You ask me to risk civil war." "I'm asking you to be brave," Jake said. "Not warrior brave, mother brave. The kind of courage it takes to let your children be themselves even when it terrifies you." More silence. Then the Queen spoke again. "Let me talk to Vex, my officer. Is he there?" Vex came forward. "Your Majesty, I am here." "Tell me the truth, Vex. Are my daughters safe with these humans?" Vex looked at Jake, then at the princesses. Jake saw him struggle with something internal. Finally he spoke. "Yes, Your Majesty. The human has protected them. He has listened to them. He has treated them with honor." Vex paused. "He calls them Heart Sisters. And they call him Heart Brother. I have seen the bond. It is real." The Queen made a sound like a gasp. "Heart siblings. With a human?" "Yes, Your Majesty." Another long silence. When Velsera spoke again, her voice was different. Softer, but also more determined. "Commander Murphy, I want you to bring my daughters home. But I need time to think. I need to consider what you've said." "Will you at least talk to them?" Jake asked. "Really talk to them? Not as a queen to her subjects, but as a mother to her daughters?" "Yes," Velsera said. "I will talk to them." "And Commander Murphy, you will be present for this conversation. You seem to understand my daughters better than I do. Perhaps you can help me understand them too." Jake felt relief wash over him. "Thank you, Your Majesty." "Don't thank me yet," the Queen said. "I make no promises about the marriages, but I will listen. That's all I can offer right now. That's all I ask," Jake said. The communication ended. Jake turned to the princesses. They were crying, but they were also smiling. "She's going to listen," Lisa said wonderingly. "Mother is actually going to listen." Kira hugged Jake tightly. For a Zetharian, physical affection was rare. It meant something significant. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for being brave for us when we couldn't be brave for ourselves." Jake hugged her back. Then Lisa joined them. Even Ben and Sophie came over. It became a group hug with humans and aliens mixed together. Vex watched with what might have been approval on his scaled face. Outside, the storm had passed. The sun was breaking through the clouds. Purple lightning was gone. The sky was clear and blue. They had survived the storm. All of them, together. Now came the harder part. Convincing a queen to change centuries of tradition. Protecting 2 young girls from a political system that wanted to use them. Finding a way to turn heart siblings from different species into a real family. But as Jake looked at the princesses, he felt hope. If they could survive 3 days in a bunker during an ion storm, they could survive anything. The real battle was about to begin. But this time they wouldn't face it alone. The shuttle ride back to the flagship was quiet. Kira and Lissa sat close together holding hands. Jake could see they were nervous. They were about to face their mother. Everything they had run from was waiting for them. When they docked, the shuttle bay was full of guards. But Queen Velsera was there too. She stood tall and fierce, her crimson scales gleaming under the lights. Her 4 eyes were fixed on her daughters. The shuttle door opened. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Lisa broke away and ran to her mother. Velsara caught her, wrapping her arms around the small princess. Her tail curled protectively around both daughters as Kira joined them. "My daughters," the queen said. Her voice was rough with emotion. "You're safe." Jake stood back, giving them space. But Velsara looked over at him. "Commander Murphy, come here." Jake approached carefully. The queen was still holding her daughters, but she reached out one clawed hand toward him. He wasn't sure what to do. Then Kira took his hand and pulled him closer. "This is our heart brother, Mother," Kira said. "He saved us. Not from danger, but from giving up." Velsara looked at Jake for a long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She placed her hand on his shoulder. It was a Zetharian gesture of deep respect. "You protected my children," she said. "You are welcome in my house, human, always." Over the next few days, things began to change. Queen Velsara called a meeting with both her daughters and Jake. They sat in a private room away from the throne room's formality. It was just a family talking, with Jake as the bridge between them. "Tell me," Velsara said to Kira, "what do you want for your future?" Kira sat up straight. "I want to study diplomacy. I want to learn how to make peace instead of war. I want to help our species understand each other better." The queen nodded slowly. "And you believe this is possible?" "Jake doesn't," Kira said. "Humans have turned enemies into friends many times in their history. Why can't we?" Velsara looked at Jake. "Is this true?" "Yes, Your Majesty," Jake said. "We've had terrible wars, but we've also learned to move past them. It's hard. It takes time. But it's possible." The queen turned to Lissa. "And you, little star? What do you dream of?" Lissa pulled out her notebook. She showed her mother the drawings. The queen looked at each one carefully. Jake watched her face change as she saw her daughters through Lissa's eyes. Saw the fear, saw the hope, saw the love. "These are beautiful," Velsara said softly. "I didn't know you could do this." "You never asked," Lissa said quietly. The queen flinched as if struck. "You're right. I never asked. I just assumed I knew what was best." She stood up and walked to the window. For a long time she stared out at the stars. When she turned back, there were tears on her scaled face. "I was wrong," she said. "I thought protecting you meant controlling your futures, but I see now that I was protecting myself from fear, not protecting you from danger." "Mother," Kira started to say. "No, let me finish," Velsara said. "I lost my mother to violence. I've lived with threats my whole life. I wanted to secure your safety through powerful marriages, but I didn't see that I was trading your happiness for my peace of mind. That was selfish." She came back and knelt in front of her daughters. For a queen to kneel was almost unheard of. "I'm sorry," she said. "I should have listened to you. I should have asked what you wanted. Can you forgive me?" Both princesses threw their arms around their mother. All 3 of them cried together. Jake felt his own eyes getting wet. Even tough Captain Hayes, who had joined them, wiped her eyes. That evening, Queen Velsara made an announcement to her council. Jake was allowed to watch. The throne room was packed with Zetharian nobles and military leaders. "I am breaking the marriage contracts for my daughters," Velsara declared. Her voice was strong and clear. "They will choose their own futures. They will marry whom they wish, when they wish, if they wish." The room erupted in shock and anger. The war chief stood up, his scales dark with fury. "This is an insult to my house," he roared. "We had an agreement." "And I am ending it," Velsara said. "If you see this as an insult, then so be it. My daughter's happiness is worth more than your pride." The Science Clan leader also rose. "You are making a mistake, Your Majesty." "This shows weakness." "No," Velsara said. "This shows strength. True strength is being brave enough to admit when you're wrong. True strength is loving someone enough to let them be free." She looked at Jake. "A human taught me this. Perhaps we Zetharians have something to learn from them after all." The announcement caused chaos in the Empire. Some nobles supported the queen. Others were outraged. There were threats of rebellion. But Velsara stood firm. Jake was called before a human tribunal a week later. Some officials were angry that he had exceeded his authority. Others wanted to give him a medal. The hearing lasted for hours. Then Queen Velsara arrived. She walked into the human tribunal uninvited. Everyone was shocked. "I am here to testify on behalf of Commander Murphy," she announced. She told them everything. How Jake had protected her daughters. how he had risked his career to do what was right, how he had prevented a war not through force but through understanding. In my culture, she said, we have a concept called heart bond. It is the deepest connection two beings can share. Commander Murphy has earned this bond with my daughters. He is part of my family now, and I will not stand by while you punish him for being honorable. The tribunal had no choice but to dismiss the charges. Instead, they gave Jake a commendation. He was promoted and offered a position as the permanent human liaison to the Zitharian Empire. 6 months passed. Things had changed dramatically. Princess Kira enrolled in a diplomatic academy. She was studying human and Zitharian relations. She was top of her class. Princess Lisa was given permission to attend an art school on a neutral station. Her paintings were being exhibited across multiple worlds. Critics called her a rising star. Jake visited them often. He had a room in their new residence, a beautiful space station that mixed human and Zitharian design. The walls were covered with Lisa's art. The shelves held books from a dozen different species. One evening, they all sat together for dinner. Queen Velsara had joined them. She visited more often now. She was trying to just be a mother sometimes, not always a queen. Jake, Lisa said, I finished a new painting. Want to see it? She brought out a large canvas. It showed the 4 of them in the bunker during the storm. Purple lightning flashed outside the windows. But inside they were together. Safe. Family. At the bottom, she had written a title in both languages. When Hearts Found Home. Jake felt his throat tighten. It's perfect, he said. Velsara looked at the painting for a long time. Then she looked at her daughters. Then at Jake. You know, she said slowly. When I was young, my mother told me that the fiercest warriors are those who fight for love. I thought she meant fighting to protect those we love. But now I understand. She meant having the courage to love even when it's frightening, even when it means changing everything you thought you knew. She raised her glass. It was a human custom she had learned. To family. Not the family we're born into, but the family we choose. They all raised their glasses, human and Zitharian together. To family, they said. Later that night, Jake stood on the observation deck. He looked out at the stars. So much had changed. He had come here as a diplomat trying to prevent war. He was leaving as a heart brother to 2 alien princesses and an honorary son to a queen. Kira found him there. What are you thinking about? She asked. How strange life is, Jake said. 6 months ago, I thought Zitharians and humans were too different. Now I have a family that spans both species. Maybe we're not so different, Kira said. We all want the same things. To be loved, to be free, to be ourselves. Maybe, Jake agreed. He smiled at her. How are your diplomatic studies going? Good, Kira said. Her eyes sparkled. I'm writing a paper about you, actually. About how one human changed an empire by simply caring. I didn't change the empire, Jake said. Your mother did. I just helped her see what was already there. You helped all of us see, Kira corrected. You showed us that being different is okay. That choosing your own path is brave. That love is stronger than tradition. She hugged him. Thank you, heart brother. For everything. Jake hugged her back. Thank you for letting me be part of your family. They stood together watching the stars. 2 people from different worlds. 2 friends who had become siblings. 2 hearts that had found home in the most unexpected place. Behind them through the window they could see Lisa painting and Velsara watching her with pride. A family that shouldn't exist by any logical standard. But it did exist, and it was real. Sometimes, Jake thought, the best families are the ones you choose. The ones that find you when you're lost and remind you that you're not alone. He smiled. He was home. Not on Earth, not on any planet. But here, with these people who had become his family. And that was more than enough.